Okay, welcome guys. Tyler Watson here. I just got in from big old trip. Just flew in this morning. So if I'm a little woozy, that's why. We had quite the journey. And I actually want to share a little bit about the story because it was a huge inspirational experience. And so I'm going to take questions here in a second. So for those of you just joining and have questions, go ahead and put in the chat box. We'll take them in as they come. And I'm just going to share for about 4 or 5 minutes here, maybe a little longer, and then we're going to take questions, okay? So I just, for several days with my spouse, my sister's going on a church mission for a year and a half, and I went to go support her, and it was really awesome. And while we were down there, we did a lot of visioning, recreating what we wanted, like talking about our big picture, planning out next year, some really cool things. So let me mute everybody. So as we were going through that, there were some really critical lessons that I was learning that I want to share with you. Number one is, how far out do you have planned? How far out do you have planned? Do you plan for the day, the week, the month, the 3 months, 6 months, a year? And I want to invite you to expand how far out you see. Most people see only as far as today or this week. They don't have a big vision. And what happens in most people's lives is, due to the lack of future vision, most people focus a lot on all the past junk. And some of them are even so scared of the junk that they don't even confront it. My philosophy is as back as far as you can see and feel good about and confront. That dictates as far as you will go in the future. So the more you can confront in the past and align and change, the more you can actually change and align in the future. And the cool thing is as you start to plan specifically for what you're going to do in the future, I would love to see everyone here have, how much money are you going to make in the next 12 months? A goal. I would love to see, what do you want in life? So what I did is this process where I basically went through and answered these questions. And I'm going to give them to you, and I'm going to invite you to do this process because it'll be really helpful to help you change your vision and get a longer term goal, okay? With long-term goals, it creates momentum, it creates change, it creates tons of shifts. So here's one, is to write down all of the things that you want. So I literally wrote down of, what do I want? And I wrote down what I wanted to feel. So as I thought about everything that I wanted in life, I said, what do I want? And I said, I want to feel blank. And I filled in the blank until I felt like I had everything that I desired to want in my life. So things like excited, motivated, inspired, led, fulfilled, capable, ready, understanding, intelligent. I want to feel fun. I want to feel deep. I want to feel fast, like I'm a fast learner. I want to feel willing, successful, progressive, goal setting and achieving, confident, powerful. I want to feel like I'm a good father, a good husband. Overall, I want to feel grateful, happy, and excited for the life I've had, the life I have, and the life I'm creating. I want to feel anticipation with excitement. I want to feel the feeling of newness and freshness. And I want to feel refueled and committed and sure. I want to also feel intentional and vibrant, progressive and consistent. I want to feel motivated and present and alert. Like I want to be around people and serve them and teach them. So these are all things that I just wanted to feel. So start off first with what you want to feel. If you don't know like exactly what do you want to have in life, start with how you want to feel. That's always a great place. Write down everything you would love to feel. Then write down, I want to have, and then things that you want to have, okay? So like things like, oh, a pop-up hammock, paddleboard, camping gear and supplies, VR system, car painted where it was scratched, bookshelves that look awesome, a video camera and audio hookups that rock, light up settings for recordings, and 5 different CDs. I want a book on the CAT. I want an app on the CAT. I want 40 people in my mastermind. I want $1 million in 9 more months. I want to be able to automate a webinar that converts 5 times. I want 60 people to be certified to teach the CAT over the next year. I want 10 $55,000 paying clients over next year. I want the spirit of revelation and inspiration. I want Warhammer games and board games. So anything that you want. And this is not like a right or wrong thing. You just want to exhaust a list of saying, what do I want? And jot down everything that you could possibly want. Okay? Then, after you've put down how you want to feel, what do you want, then write down what do you want to do. What do you want to do? So I want to have a hobby I look forward to. I want to be physically ripped and fit. I want to travel to Europe with my wife. I want to do something special for my wife. I want to do an event where I do over $500,000 at one time. I want to build some homes outside the country. I want to teach people more openly about the gospel. I want to learn biomagnetics. I want to be about my Father's business. I want to become an amazing marketer for energy healers and practitioners who are doing well. I want to become, so all these things that you want to do. So doing things, okay? So first it's feeling, then it's having, then it's doing, and then it's becoming, okay? So as you go through this, as you're creating all these things that you desire, what it gives you an idea for are the things that you want to achieve in life and the goals, and it allows you to tap into creativity and expand your vision instead of just seeing like the day-to-day or the mundane or the simple things that you're just like, this is what I'm focused on. Open up your mind and expand. You'll never grow bigger than what you can imagine. And if you have a goal that you're feeling like it's getting stuck, that it's not happening, 10x it. 10x the goal, and then map out how are you going to get that. So as we were creating, okay, how are we going to make $1 million over the next 8 months? Like we mapped that out, and then we said, okay, well, what if we were going to make 5 million? And then thought about that and said, that kind of changes my whole perspective on what we would do. And we planned it out, and we're like, this is how we would do it. We said, why not 10x it or 5x it? And instead of feeling like this is such a big goal, why not feel like expand your vision, expand your creativity so that you don't get stuck on the little things. Now, as you know how you want to feel, you know what you want to do, you know what you want to have, and you have some benchmarks and some goals, as you're moving toward that, you can focus on the feelings, you can focus on the doingness and the havingness. And now you'll strategically put into your calendar what you need to do to get the goals, the how, right? So I want to share with this so that as you're thinking about what you want, 10 times it, 10x it, make it big, make it audacious, and say, okay, if this is my goal that I felt like was big, I could plan for that as a minimum, then set it for a 10 times that, 10x it, and say, well, what if I wanted to achieve this? And start thinking bigger, expanding. The biggest problem I find with most entrepreneurs is they don't think big enough. They think so small on the day-to-day to pay the bills or to just get out of the rat race that they're stuck in. So get outside of that by saying, what do I want? How do I want to feel? What do I want to do? What do I want to experience? Who do I want to be? And then you will start to do different things and create more in your life. Cool? All right. So I wanted to share that because it's really powerful, and you can never plan too much. As long as you're doing stuff consistently throughout the day, like plan again, put more in there, vision more, create more in your life. Always be seeking to expand while, yes, working through your past, being really present in the future, or really present in now, and then focused on your future goals so that the things you do in the present are fueling what you want to create in the future. Okay? All right. Yeah, Karen, so that's what I meant by the 10x. Okay, so Laura, so we're going to open up this now for questions. So for those of you who have questions, Lori K says she has a question helping a Zoom session. So we're going to take her since she was the first one to put in the chat box. For those of you who have other questions, go ahead and put in the chat box, and then you can unmute yourself after we are done with Lori K. So Lori K, go ahead and hop on. What's your question?
All right. So I've been trying to communicate with Zoom to get online training, and it hasn't clicked into that. So I have a PowerPoint that I will be doing, and I want to know how to switch where I can get to a whiteboard. But for whatever my skill level is right now, I can't even see where to go play to experiment on how to have that happen. So do you
a whiteboard, like
a whiteboard in the Zoom?
Zoom?
And if you have any suggestions on troubleshooting of things that have gone wrong for you and how you dealt with that gracefully during a Zoom session, yeah.
Yeah, so what's your big goal with this? Like, what are you wanting to do with this?
Well, I'm teaching online CAT classes. I just had my first live class, and I have 2 or 3 people who will be attending a Zoom class tomorrow night. And so I'm just like, and I've been working through the anxiety about it, and I don't feel anxious, but I need some skills, and I need them now.
Cool. So I keep it as simple as possible. Literally, I just have a Logitech little camera, okay?
Right.
I use that, and then I just put a whiteboard, or I'll put a marker board or something. You could just, and that's what I use. I don't use the virtual marker boards just because I'm not a tech guy. I'm more of a hands-on person. So this is what I do. So I would suggest do what's easiest for you.
Okay. I guess my challenge with that is the thing that shows my face is so close. When I'm there, it's my face really big, and I can't move farther away.
Why can't you move further away?
Because of volume issues.
Do you have a mic?
I can do that.
Yeah, get a lapel mic. That way you can move around and you can still talk, and it's the same audio no matter what. And that way you're like over here or you're over here, and it doesn't matter. People hear.
Okay. And what about switching? Now, I do want to use my Zoom slides.
Okay.
Is that easy to switch between a slide and you live?
It can be. Sometimes it's complicated. So best thing you're going to do is just run through this, like just hop on with a friend or have somebody join in with you, and then run through a real quick demo. Okay.
Okay.
How you succeed at something is doing it before you do it.
I was hoping I could do it on my own, but I would have to use somebody else.
I always like to have somebody else. That way they can make sure audio's working, they see me interacting, type in the chat box. So like when I do it, I have David or my wife hop on, and I'm like, okay, let's check it. Let's make sure everything's running well. So I'll get on and I'll say, okay, check audio, check video, check distance, right? See if you can still see me. Can you still hear me now? Is this any different? Okay, great. Now I'm going to share the screen with you. So then you go click on the share screen button, or Alt-S, and then it brings up, and you can do, when you share your screen, right there it has a whiteboard that you could do. So
right, and for some reason I couldn't even get myself to this spot. But okay. Yeah.
So you can do a whiteboard. I don't do whiteboards because I'm not very artistic on the computer.
It'd be faster to do it on the whiteboard.
So then you always hit the red button. That's Alt-S. Again, you can hit Alt-S or just stop share, and that's how you do it. Okay.
When you have somebody in your family helping you, do they just go to a different computer and it doesn't have to have the video, whatever that thing is that shows your face?
Make sure that they could even do it on their phone and have them be away from you so that you don't get the feedback sound loop going.
Okay. Yeah, because I guess a phone, because we only had one thing that shows my face, but I guess there's the phone. Okay.
Yeah, you could have them look it on the phone. You could have them do it on a laptop. You could do it on anything. Okay?
Okay. And then I think problems that you've had with and how you've troubleshooted.
Yeah, I've had every problem you can imagine. And sometimes new problems happen. So sometimes I forgot to hit record. Sometimes I've just had the wrong link. Sometimes I've had nobody show. Sometimes I've had everything just mess up. And it's just like, okay, well, I'll just work through it. And the key with teaching is not to let anything stop you. Most people have a technical issue or something and they say, oh no, and they go into victim mode. The key is to just say, okay, great, this isn't working. Be able to control the situation to say, how can I make this work? What is something I can do? Who can I ask for help? Or what can I do to make this simple? And you're in charge of whether it works or not. Like, the reason stuff breaks down is a reflection of us inside. So as you change yourself and believe in yourself more, and you're like, yes, what I do works, things, if they do break down, it doesn't really affect anything in the long run, because you're able to manage a problem, change it, and turn it into a good situation regardless. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Cool.
All
Yeah,
right. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Who else has a question? So you can unmute yourself, or you can just type in the chat box here. What can I help you guys with? This is your time. Whatever question you guys have, whether it's specific to your business, whether it's on relationships, whether it's on the CAT, whatever it might be, now's a really good time to ask questions so you can get that one extra step to help save hours and hours and hours.
So I have another question if someone else doesn't want to jump in.
Yeah, well, give it a second here.
Okay.
Does anybody else have a question?
I have a question.
Great. Who's this?
It's Christine.
Hey, Christine.
When you do, like what you were just telling us to do with figuring out the things that you wanted to do, be or have, do
Yeah.
you do that as an alignment as well?
At first, no. A lot of times I just do things to get the awareness. And because of what I've been through so much, when I start to intend things, I automatically just start to align to it. So if you feel really resistant towards those goals, then I would align. Yeah. As you get better and better with your goals, there will be times where you just set a goal and you're aligned. Like, you tune in, boom, and you do what it takes and you're aligned. So I do a lot less alignments than I used to. As I have become more expansive and more aligned, when I tune into something now and say, this is what I want, I have a lot less resistance because I've aligned so much that it's just like, okay, like now it's a lot easier. Now there are goals though that are, if it's like evasive and it feels like, man, this is not happening, then I'll go to an alignment and say, okay, what's going on? Why is this not working? What's going here? What do I need to shift? Okay. So yeah, does that help?
Yeah. And also when you do, when you are going to do an alignment where you list down all the negatives and all the positives,
Mm-hmm.
and then you do the alignment, do you write out a phrase as to, after you've done that, do you write out some kind of a phrase of what you're doing the alignment on, or do you just do it?
So I think you might be talking about two different processes. So
yeah.
The first process that you're talking about is called redefining definitions.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so that's a separate process aside from an alignment, okay? So
Okay.
You could just go and redefine a word. So it's like, okay, whatever word you want to have, you map out all the negatives, they're not even negatives, but things that aren't serving you, and regarding to experiences, what you've heard, what you felt, what you've seen, what people have told you, so what you experienced, what you've seen, what you felt, what you've heard, and all of those pieces, right? So then you'll map out all those connotations that might be negative or might not be serving you. Then you'll map out all the ideal things, like this is exactly what I would want. If I just wanted to change that word and didn't want to do a full, complete alignment, checking all my organs and glands and chakras and all the submodes, and then going into all the inhibitors and all the enablers, and I just wanted a shift just from redefining definitions, I would go through redefine, I'd look at the negative and I'd say, there's a whole process to this in the advanced version. It's basically where it's like, okay, I now completely unaligned. So you would do the alignment technique, but not the full complete alignment. You just do the alignment part, the breath and the panting. And I'd be looking at it and I'd say, I completely let go of all of these negative connotations from on my organs, glands, and chakras and every cell in my body, harmlessly and blamelessly, and thank God for it, while doing the panting and breathing, while looking at it. And then you just you'll feel like a shift. Just it's an overall big shift. Okay. Then you can tap into the new one and say, okay, my new definition of this word is da 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 da. And now as you have all the new definitions, you say, okay, I now take on the new definition in every organ, cell, and gland in my body and everything that I'm aware of and unaware of, harmlessly and blamelessly, and thank God for it. Go through that, align that. Now I do the process just real fast while I'm looking at the new words, and then I will actually state everything out loud as a new definition. So I would say, my new definition of money is, I have plenty, it's awesome, it's amazing, I do it all the time, I create all this wealth. My new definition of money is, and I just read all the definitions. If, as through I'm reading those definitions of the new ones, some of them don't feel real or some of them feel resistance, then that might be a good indicator that there might be a good phrase to align to. So if I'm reading through and I'm like, yeah, I can, my new definition of money is I make it as consistently and effortless as possible. And I'm like, man, that just feels like it's not even real, like you feel opposition. Then I would be aware and say, okay, cool. I would jot that down and say, this is probably some phrase that I would want to do a full complete alignment on or have part of a complete alignment. So the redefining definition process by itself is phenomenal. It's a standalone process. Even you can do it, the very basic way is just map it out logically, not even do any of the release. And people have seen huge shifts just through the logic of it. Then if you want to take it to the next level, you'll tap to let it go, all go, and you'll tap to take it all on, the good things. That's the next level. Then the next level after that is in pinpointing and doing a complete alignment, whether it's on the word, has the word itself that you redefined, or pieces of what you discovered throughout that process. So it can kind of get elaborate, and that's if I was going to go really in depth and be like, man, I've got something that's just not moving, not shifting, then I would probably take it to the more advanced way and start shifting in a higher way. Does that make sense at all, Christine?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, great question. Okay. Lori K said, someone wants to experience a CAT session before getting trained. I charge $120 a session and $350 for the class. Should I encourage her just to join me to class tomorrow? It's up to you. Some people, you could say, hey, great. If you want to come, charge $120 a session and then charge $350 to learn it, right? So some people come, they pay me $300 to do a session, and then they learn it all for $850 with the ultimate alignment and coaching and all that stuff. So I just charge for the session for people who want to do a session, and then I charge for people to learn it. And
I was just wondering if I should try and diffuse some of her objections with something like that.
You just say, hey, I've got two options. If you want to get a session with me, then cool, it's $120. We can totally do that. Most people, they just want to, they learn the whole process. That way they can just do it on themselves. But if you're really unsure, then we can just do an alignment, and then you can learn it for $350, right?
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Margie says, I'm in the middle of redefining definitions. Is this all included in that? Wondering if I should write this all down. Okay, so good question, Margie. So there's two redefining definitions courses. One's a $7, like just the logical part. The other is the advanced version, and that is like a 2 to, I think it's like 3 or 4 or 5 hour thing. And it goes in where we redefine God and we redefine sales. And we did the full alignment with it, okay? So I'm not sure which one you're talking about. Do you know which one you're talking about, Margie? The advanced? Oh, got it, Lori, got it. I didn't realize there wasn't yeah. So, yeah, if you want to just listen back to this recording, that'll give you some of the ideas of what's in the advanced there, okay? So some of the phraseology. You can state it a little differently each time, but the basics is when you're looking at it, you want to unalign all of the negative things, and you can do a broad thing, like from all my organs, glands, chakras, cells, everything that I'm aware of and unaware of, harmlessly and blamelessly. Then I'm going to take on the new one in all of those areas, and boom, while doing an alignment. As you do multiple alignments, you can also go into and doing the modes and check, like I hold the master mode when I do a redefining process. So there's a lot of shortcuts. There's thousands of ways to really align, and one's not more effective or one's not less. It really just depends on, is the person getting a result? So for me, I like to go in the master mode while doing the redefining definition. That way I'm tapping into all 8 categories with the word. And if I feel any resistance anywhere, I'll tap on it 3 times, then do the alignment. Hopefully this doesn't confuse people, but this is just to kind of take it to the next level, okay? So if you're going through the definition process and instead of just doing it one time, I completely let go of all this stuff. If you feel resistance creep up in like your pit of your stomach, then you would tap right here and then do it, and then just do the alignment again while looking at the words, thinking I completely let go, I completely let go. That resistance will go away. Then you'll feel around any more resistance. You can chase the resistance and tap on it and then be like, boom. And then that'll really release from any of the physical resistance there. And then as you tap in the new one, you can do the same as well. Cool? Does that kind of help, Marzi? Okay, I think that.
Yes, sorry.
Oh, you're good. Any other questions, Marzi, on that?
No, I had another question. I was starting to write in the chat box, but it's kind of long.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I did a alignment for someone with physical ailment, and they started seeing improvement, but then it all reversed. And despite tapping and triggering their anchor, I guess you could say, they aren't seeing any improvements.
Okay. So, what was the ailment?
She wanted more strength in her hands and to be free of pain. Not that she had a lot of pain, but she has arthritis and carpal tunnel.
Okay. And what did you align her to? What was the statement?
Oh gosh, I have to look it up. It was basically what I just said. It was, I think it was to be, that her hands would have strength and be free of pain. I'm trying to look it up real quick.
Okay. Yeah.
Despite arthritic and carpal tunnel effects. Arthritic buildup and carpal tunnel effects.
Great. Did you have her redefine any of those words?
Yes, we walked through that, but I didn't do the tapping like you're talking about.
So when you're doing a complete alignment, you don't do that advanced redefining definitions.
Yeah, we didn't do that. We talked about it. And we did the list and everything.
Yeah. If I'm just doing an alignment, I'm just like, hey, what are some of your old things that you've experienced that are not ideal? I have them just verbalize them. Say, cool, awesome. Sum that up. Okay, kind of got the energy of that. Great. What's your ideal? Okay, can you separate those two? Your old one, your new one? Great. For this word, perfect. What about for this word? 3 or 4, perfect. So then I'll have them repeat this whole statement, implying the new definition. Just doing that, their eyes will light up. They'll be like, wow, this feels a lot different. Like, this feels amazing. Because now they're actually wanting the good definitions of everything. So it's a very short and effective process to do it during a CAT. Now, if somebody was really stuck on something, on a specific word, I would go in depth and do a redefining process, okay? And it wouldn't necessarily be an alignment. It would be a redefining process. So that would help them go in depth on it if something wasn't like changing. With her, I would actually go into some emotional pieces and ask her more about her ailment. And this is the process of how to figure out what people need to align to, okay? So here's how I would do it with someone with a physical ailment. And I would say, okay, for example, with Craig, when I was working on Craig, his ailment was he had a cardiac arrest. He wasn't able to see or hear very well. If he walked, he looked left, right, and he'd fall over. I could have done it on cardiac arrest, right? But when we measured it, it didn't come up that that was going to have a huge overall effect. So I was like, that's not the route we need to go. We need to figure out what else is going on. So I asked him about it, like, what are your feelings around this? What's coming up? And he's like, oh, I've tried everything. Like, nothing's worked. So I knew we needed to have that as part of the statement. So then, because he had some really strong beliefs that were countering and that was actually causing the symptoms. So as I basically ended up coming up with something around balancing equilibrium and being able to receive and take on new sensory input, and maintaining a balanced equilibrium, and regardless of all the things that have or haven't worked. So it was kind of a mix of everything that he said, and then it worked first time, boom, got it. So to figure out the statement, this is really the gift in doing the CAT. You can, and it's measuring it, like checking what's going to get the best result. So if I'm ever asking somebody, I'm going to keep asking them, being like, so what do you really want? And they're going to be like, well, I don't want to have arthritis. Great. And if you didn't have arthritis, what do you want? Like, what is it that you want? And then she's maybe like, well, I just want to feel pain-free. Awesome. So if you were pain-free and you didn't have arthritis, what do you want? And then she'll be like, well, I would want, that's a great question. I've never thought past that. And most people don't think past their symptoms. So my goal when I'm aligning someone is I want to get them into a space where they're creating beyond what their current reality is. So then she might say like, well, I would actually go do my crafts, or I'd be able to, help my kids more, or whatever. I don't really know. And I'd say, great. So if you're helping your kids, you're able to do your crafts, you didn't have the pain, you didn't have the arthritis, what else do you want? And then expand. As they're saying what they want, I'm watching them and listening to their voice to see what gets them emotional or excited. So if she's like, and you'll feel it, you'll feel the switch. There's a time when people say what they want, but it's not really what they want. It's what they think that they want or what's expected of them. And it sounds kind of dry, like I want to get out of back pain, or I want to get out of this arthritic thing, or I want to not have this symptom. And it's really just, it's like has no, they're not like, oh my goodness, I would love to not have back pain. Like that would be so incredible. They're not jazzed about it because it's just, okay, I'm hurt. This is all I can see is the pain. So it's like covering them up and they're like, what do I want? Well, I want to be able to see, And it's like pain. Well, great. Well, what if you could see? And just imagining that, then they're like, whoa, if I could actually see, I've never thought about that. I would want to do this and this. And then they start to get excited. Now you're hitting on something that means something to them. So it's like, great. Now I can incorporate of releasing the symptom by creating what you want. So I always look for something that's going to get them excited, going to get them motivated to do something. So even when I helped a guy be able to align to his MLM, we didn't just take diamond and say, okay, diamond rank, align. You could have done that. But the overall result was only like a 3 or a 4 because there was so much to that we didn't tap. Really, it meant like what he would do with it, why he wanted the diamond, what like the meaning behind it. So the definition. So I had to ask questions of like, what do you really want? If you hit diamond rank, like how long has this been happening? What's some of the resistance you've had around this and the false beliefs? And he's like, oh, well, I feel like nothing works. I feel like no matter what I do, I get stuck. I was like, great. So that gives me some powerful words to use, like getting stuck, nothing works. Great. And if you could get things to work and you could get unstuck, what would you want to achieve? Oh, I really want to get these 2 legs in for my China thing. I was like, why do you want that? Oh, I want it because it's going to help me create this and this and this. I love helping people get a bigger vision than just uncover the pain, get out of the pain. That's a really momentary alignment, and it does help, but there can be more effective ways to align. So it's like, cool, if you could see, what would you want? Then take that and start to align into that. And then they're going to be able to see because now they have a reason to see. Does this kind of help a little bit, Margie?
Yeah, it does. I appreciate the emotional aspect of it and the visualizing for them. And I think that that's probably something I could improve upon. My question in regards to that, though, is you talked about the effectiveness of the statement, right? And we test it to see how effective it is. And with the statement that we did come up with for her and tested, we got a 10. And her alignment took quite a long time because we were doing the long version because she told me to do, 10 before I start trying shortcuts. So the question is even if the statement is a 10, right? Which tells us there's going to be a lot of change and I don't know, makes the alignment stronger, right?
Yeah.
Or more effective. I don't know. So
good question. So the 10, you have to check. When I ask the 10, this is my intention. And you have to be okay of receiving a no answer. So maybe it's muscle testing is part of it, but also the intention when you're checking. So I check 0 to 10, 10 being the most effective for you to receive the fastest and most tangible results. Okay? So that's kind of the statement. I'm looking for the most fastest, most effective, and most permanent and most tangible results. You could get a 10 if it's like overall just aligning how good is this, how not good. Could be really good, but it might not be the fastest and most tangible results because you didn't ask that, right? So if you incorporate that into your checking, then you might get more specific answers. And then I always ask, while I'm thinking it, I'm like, okay, is there a more effective statement to use at this time? Is there something that I'm not picking up on? Are there questions? So I'm always asking myself this, and I'm okay to be wrong. So I'm okay to be like, oh, totally wrong. I got this cool statement, but this really isn't a thing. And 15 minutes into one of the alignments that I did, I was like, this is actually not the most effective thing, because then I heard them say other things, and I was like, that's what we need to align to. So then we changed the alignment, and then it worked really well. Also, be okay not getting a phenomenal miracle in one session. Like, as you get better and better, be okay with them having an alignment and not seeing tangible physical results, because know that every alignment is changing things inside of them, like hugely. So know that as you go through that and you're checking, how do you feel now? How do you feel before? And if they drop their alignment, number one, I would say, okay, are you actually tapping it in and you know, re-stimulating it? And if they're like, yeah, and then they're like, so do you have any resistance when you re-stimulate it? And they're like, yeah, it just feels like this is really stupid. Oh, maybe we didn't hit that limiting belief. So then I would have them do a mini alignment and say, okay, what resistance are you thinking as you're doing this alignment? And have them release that, because you may have missed some limiting beliefs or something in that when you were checking it. I always check when I get to the limiting belief section, what resistance do you have to this? What else do you ever, and I go deep in that. So I'm like, I ask deeper questions. So it's like, what resistance do you have to this alignment? What feelings of negativity do you think? What doubts come up? What times do you feel like it is stronger? And then they're like, oh, this and this and this. Great. And then we align. Is there any other resistance you have to this? Do you feel 100% aligned? Is there any doubts or reservations or anything? And they're like, no. Then you know it's completely aligned. You've done everything. You've done all the organs. You've done all the inhibitors, all the enablers, all the modes, and then they're truly aligned. So then when they anchor it, if more resistance comes up, so let's say I anchored it on 132 things, right? They anchored all those in. But then outside new stimulus comes in that throws it off. If I re-anchor and bring back 132 of the things, but there were 6 new things that we never addressed, the re-anchoring doesn't address the 6 new things. It just addresses the 132 things that we did. That's why I asked somebody if they're like, oh, it came back. I ask, okay, when you say it came back, what? And if it was something we didn't address, that was a new stimulus that threw off the treatment that we didn't cover. So no matter how many times you redo the whole treatment through the anchoring point, it's not going to get that because you didn't do it, right? So then I'd have them just do a quick alignment on whatever threw it off. So it's like, let's say Joe called her a really nasty name and now she feels arthritic again. So she's like, oh, I just feel like I can't do it anymore. Why? Who told you that, or where'd you get that from? Oh, well, that's a good question. Well, I guess yesterday somebody told me that I couldn't do it. It's like, oh, well, let's just real quick, and I can teach this to them, right? If you have any resistance, anything that pops up, re-anchor it, then do any, like, just state the thing that you feel like stopping you. So I can't do it. Do the alignment. and then you could re-anchor it, including that thing that you just did. So now your re-anchor will include the other stuff that wasn't a part of the session.
So when you re-anchor it, are you creating a new anchor or are you using the same anchor that you had?
You can use the same anchor, but you'd have them do it again. So then I'd have them look at the statement and then check. So regarding everything that I've done and everything new that I've incorporated, can we anchor this to bring it back to 100% effectivity? 0 to 10, 10 and I just say yes, no. Yes, okay, good. If she's a no, then I'm just going to say, okay, can we align to that so it can be effective? Yes. So then I would align her on the statement. I can anchor it in and maintain this session, because some people are allergic to that idea. They've been through so much that they're like, no, that can't be that easy. That's got to be a hard, complex thing. So if they're unaligned to that, align them, then have them do the re-anchoring process. Look at it, tap again, look at it, tap again, look at it, tap again, and then they're anchored.
Okay. Will you be changing the number of taps for the anchor?
You can ask and see. Usually I don't find that it's necessary, but some people may. So you can just say, hey, can we maintain the same anchor point to keep it just as effective? Do we need to create a new anchor point? No? Okay, cool. Let's just do it.
Okay. So following up with them, if they wanted to come in and address the issues, we would just do like mini alignment with the issues that they're having.
Yeah, you could just be like, you could even charge for a mini alignment. So you could say, hey, for a 15, 20-minute session, we'll just charge you a little bit. So it's like a doctor visit. The initial is like super expensive. And then you come in for a real quick checkup and it's like half or a quarter of it, because it's only like, hey, we've addressed everything. Now we just need to make sure that it's maintaining. That would be one method you could do. The other method is maybe align her to something else or have her learn, and then, because there's multiple things, you know. I love having people align to multiple things. And you could even learn how to teach somebody, get certified, and then when you're aligning somebody, you could say, great, we just aligned you, but much more effective would it be if you could just align yourself on multiple things, and you could help them come up with statements, and you'll get better at that. So that's also an option.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. All right, so Zagara says, I attended your alignment course, and to brush up, have you done alignment between an organ or part of your body that is not working? Lack of sleep, ideas for the business, knee, thyroid. Started to give some examples. Okay, so Zagara, I'm going to have you hop on because I'm a little unsure what you mean by that. Can you hear me?
Yes, sorry. Then I stopped because then I was listening to your answer, and you partially answered what I was checking is like, yes, you have, for example, an organ that doesn't work, or like a knee or something, and you address some of that. You were aligned to the health function, to the rest of the body that is working well. So that was pretty much my question, as well as, okay, I'm stuck, have no idea how to proceed for this business. What do I align it to, to your ideal? So both of them, both the physicality, one organ is out of, it's not working well, and now it's working, and like creativity and other things.
So yeah, with the alignment, so can you just ask the question so I can make sure I'm getting it?
So the question is, when you do the alignment, let's do the first example, the physicality. And I know one of your, the other people in the group, they talked about a carpal,
Carpal tunnel, yeah.
Yes, and other things. So yes, for example, you have this pain, it doesn't work, or the thyroid is not functioning. Then healing, considering something is off. Often it is some belief or whatever. So can you do that? Just all that you've explained, all these different declarations, different statements, so it actually starts working from that point of view, and you have it resolved physically.
Yeah, so with physical ailments, it's just like anything. The key to an alignment is figure out what do you want,
okay,
and figure out like how effective is that thing going to be when you align to it, and then align, right? So you might think it's one way, but then as you tie in some emotional aspects of like what they really want, it's avoided the actual getting it, you tie those two together, and it's like, boom, here's what we need to align to. then they can see some big shifts. Now, let's say they create a statement. I don't know if this will answer your question, but let's say I have carpal tunnel, but my statement's on business. The two might not be related. And so when you're going through the alignment, you might think, oh, we need to align her carpal tunnel to the business. But if the carpal tunnel isn't affecting the business, then you don't need to align it, right? You only align what is affecting or inhibiting or not enabling the thing. So that's why you could have a ripped knee, but that might not pop up for a specific alignment that you do. Like
okay. So for example, the thyroid that creates tiredness, and now you're non-effective at work, or you're losing that. In that case, the alignment is not only good, but like important, so that you can be productive, and you don't, in that sense, for example.
Yeah, with somebody who wasn't productive or super tired, right? I would ask them, so what do you want? And let's role play. Imagine you're the person who's always super tired. Okay. So what do you want?
Well, I want more energy. So I want to be energetic. And
so you want more energy. You want to be more energetic. What else do you want?
And I want to have clarity. So like I don't have this foggy mind because I'm so tired, for example.
So I'm picking up on foggy mind, tired. Those are some of the opposition. I'm also looking for some of the things that person desires, which is clarity and what was the other thing? So what else do you want?
Yeah, I remember what I said.
Clarity and energy, right?
Energy. I mean, it's the energy.
Energy, clarity. So I would be writing down these words.
Yeah.
And I'm writing down some of the positive things that they want and some of the negative aspects to it. So I'm writing down like energy, clarity. Oh, foggy headedness. Okay, cool. And I might ask, so tell me a little bit about this foggy headedness. What would you say?
Okay.
And let's say, what would you say? Tell me about the foggy headedness.
Oh, like I'm having a conversation and then I kind of I don't remember details. It doesn't look like I'm sharp. So that's like the negative kind of.
Gotcha. So you can't remember details. It's not as sharp. Okay. What else? Anything else you have to say about not or having that foggy headedness? It's not.
Yeah, there's almost. I mean, everything becomes like a very require a lot of energy. So like very a lot of work instead of even inspiring people. It's a lot of work because like, I give up.
What feels like it's a lot of work?
Yeah.
So then what would you say? What feels like it's a lot of work?
Whatever I'm attending to, like for example, even in my case, teaching, right? Because that's like the business. So here I'm teaching, inspiring, but then, there's just this lack of energy, all of that. And then even the inspiration the second, third time, just, I gave up. Didn't get it, type of thing,
Awesome. So now I'm actually understanding more. So then I would say, okay, so when you're trying to go inspire somebody, how do you feel? Oh, I feel foggy headed. I feel this. So then I'd say, why do you feel foggy headed when you're trying to inspire somebody?
Mm-hmm.
And what would you say? Why do you feel like it takes so much energy to go and talk about inspiration or inspire or teach?
Because, for example, I'm tired, and I mean, and it's partially.
Why are you tired?
Like there's the tiredness. I've not slept well the night before, or I feel kind of dizzy because of.
So let's say you did sleep well, yet you knew you're going to teach. What other feelings come up? Why do you get tired or foggy headed when you're trying to teach somebody and inspire them?
Yeah, there's the other things. Okay, can I perform as I want to? Can I be as prepared? I put so much work. Will the preparation show up instead of
perform? So now we're actually getting to the source of like what's actually going on. It has nothing to do with not sleeping. It's not being tired, not foggy headed. Those are just symptoms.
Okay.
So when somebody's like, oh, I get tired when I'm teaching, or I get foggy when I'm trying to teach, that to me shows that they have some sort of belief or emotion that is taking them out of the game because they don't feel good enough. They don't feel like they're capable. They feel like they're going to mess up. So they go blank to avoid confronting what they need to confront. So that's what I'm actually looking for in this. And I like to have people come to their own conclusions on it.
Yeah.
But having done this for so long, I know that that's what's going on. So it's
Mhm.
not actually I'm foggy headed and tired. Like that's just not it. So I'm like, okay, cool. So tell me about this. And then I talk, okay, tell me a little bit more. So if that was gone and you were still
Yeah.
teaching somebody, what else? Now we're getting to the juice. So you're like, oh, well, I feel like I have to perform. Ah, okay. Now this would be something I'd want to align to. Because if we
Mhm.
could get you to where you didn't feel like you had to perform, you didn't feel like you had to be perfect, and you could actually fail and not get people results, but still have plenty of energy, still love teaching, regardless of how people receive it or don't, now that's going to be like a really powerful statement that when you align to, you'll be like, holy cow, now I can align because I don't have to prove anything. I don't have to teach to validate. I can just teach to inspire. And if people want to hear it and act on it, great. If they don't, I'm going to sing the song regardless. So
Yeah.
they listen to it. That's the juice that I'm going to look for in this alignment that I'd have you or that person aligned to.
Okay. And that's where the statement will be more, because you can see, I mean, I can even see for
Statement would be
myself.
way more effective. Now, if we did it on foggy headedness and we're like, okay, I can teach without being foggy headed.
Yeah.
When we redefine foggy headed, some of those things might pop up. So
Okay.
it's like, tell me about this foggy headed. What does that mean? Like, give me the definition. And then you could say, oh, well, I feel like I have to perform. I feel like I have to do this. And in that redefining process, I might actually find something that I'd rather you align to overall
Yeah.
instead of just foggy headed. So I just basically took you through a mini redefining definition process to figure out a bigger thing to align to.
Yeah.
We could have done the foggy headed, had you redefine it, and then you probably would have gotten some pretty good results with it.
Okay.
I like to work with people. I like to get to like really amazing things. And it's just the questioning process, asking, cool, what else? What if you did that? What if you did that? And then I heard you get emotional when you said, it was like a pause. If you listen back to this, you paused for a moment and you said, oh, and then you went emotional and you're like, well, I feel like I have to perform. And that felt like a heavy word. So I was like, ooh, that would be a good one in a phrase we would redefine. Tell me what performing means. Oh, well, when I teach or perform, this is what I feel like. I have to put on a show. I have to feel like I have to pretend. I can't tell the truth. I feel like I can't be vulnerable. I feel like if I'm not perfect, they're going to judge me. No wonder you're getting foggy headed, because it's like all of this stuff we're trying to mask. And think about wearing a mask of that and teaching. It's like hard to breathe. Like you can't. So you're going to get foggy headed. But if that mask was gone, you could just breathe. You could be yourself. You wouldn't get foggy headed at all, because your foggy headedness is a symptom to try to just cover up all of the pretend stuff in your life. So if you could get real, then you don't need to pretend. You don't need to put on a show. You can just teach and inspire and have plenty of energy.
Okay. Yeah. Very clear. Great. Thank you. Yes, it does. Just I was connecting what I've learned, in the course, and been a while, and it's useful now, taking care of the business and how to approach that.
Yeah, great question. All right, who else has a question? We got 7 more minutes. Who else has got a question? You can unmute yourself, type it in the chat box. You can change your life in 7 minutes. Who else? What other questions do you have? Everybody get what you needed? If you got what you needed, drop in the comments and say, got what I needed. I got it. It's exactly what I needed. If not, ask a question.
Hey, this is Vicki.
Hey,
how do you have people do testimonials for you? How do you usually go about that?
Yeah, that's an awesome question. So just ask them and be like, cool. So I just did this session and I got to enroll them in the idea. The only reason people don't do testimonials are the following. Number one, they're afraid that their name is going to get out there. And so if they've had abuse, they're afraid that their name's going to get out there. Then they're going to get hurt. So that's an avoidance thing. That's one reason people don't do it. Number two is they feel like they're not going to do it perfectly. So the perfectionists have a problem. They're like, oh, if I don't share it perfectly, then it's going to validate how not good I am. That's another reason why people don't do it. And another reason why is because they don't know how. Like, they don't know the structure of it. Okay? So I diffuse the objections. I say, hey, could you give me a testimonial? And this is what I'd say. Let's say there's some ideal phrasing. One is, what was your life like? And you could just pre-frame it and say, hey, in a testimonial, number one testimonial can change a life. If you have fear around getting your name out there, totally cool. Just we'll use your initials. But you can just share written or a video. If you do video, awesome. This will be great. This is how it'll help people. And it's got to be a reason for it. So like, these videos are going to go change people's lives, and your experience has changed my life just hearing about it. Would you be willing to go help someone else and help them change their life? Cool. So then you diffuse the objections. If you don't want your name to be listed, just use your initials, totally fine. The other thing is, here's how I would frame it. So I would say, okay, before doing this XYZ thing, here was what my life was like. After doing the XYZ thing, here's how it completely changed. If I had to go back and do it again, and I was on the fence, wondering, should I do it or should I not? What would I tell myself? Boom. And that's a good testimonial, because you give them the before story, the after story, and what would you tell somebody who's just thinking about this, wondering, hey, should I do this or should I not? What would you tell them, knowing what you've been through? Okay, that's a really good pre-frame for a testimonial. Does that help, Vicki?
Yep, that's great.
Yeah, great question. Karen says, I have an appointment Thursday with a married couple. How do I do couple sessions? Ooh, couple sessions are fun. All right, so with couple sessions, what's the goal? What's the goal with the couple session? Karen? I unmuted you. Can you talk, Karen?
Yeah.
Okay. So, health. What do you mean by that? So tell me a little bit about the situation.
Well, the husband is a good friend of mine, and his wife has some health issues and is interested in her first energy healing session. Mostly, he's already done sessions before.
Okay. So it's on her mainly?
Mostly, but he's interested in, of course, he's going to be there too. And
okay. So are you going to do the goal is to do a CAT session on her, and he's going to watch?
that's what he sounded interested in getting work done on him too. So.
Okay. So I would do one at a time. Now, I do couple sessions, but not for the CAT. So I do couple sessions in helping them like get clarity, figure out their marriage and stuff like that. On health, on the CAT, I would do just on one person. They can totally be there. And then like when I did on Craig, his wife was in the room because she was a master healer. She's like, I want to see what you're doing. It's like, yeah, come on through. It's going to be kind of boring because we're just going to be doing the repetitive stuff. But if you want to sit in on it, cool. Okay. And so she did. And then they wanted to learn it because it was so effective and it was easy, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't do a lot of with them there. If they're watching, then I'll do the session on the person. I'll teach a little bit while I'm doing it, but I'm trying to be as fast and as efficient as possible so it doesn't turn into a 3-hour session. Right. So it's like, okay, 90 minutes, wham, bam, done, right? Or 60 minutes. And do it on the one person. The other person can watch. You can kind of ask some questions, but keep going and aligning while they're talking. Mm-hmm. And so I always pre-frame it and say, hey, if you can do the tapping and alignment while I'm talking, I can describe what we're doing to answer any questions as we go along. But we want to get this as effective and as efficient as possible, okay? So that way, if they're like tapping and they're like, oh, what did you say? And they like stop, I'm going to stop teaching. I'm just going to be like, hey, let's just do the session. If you want to learn and do more, then we can do that after, right? We can go through the teaching process. Since you're certified to teach it, you can teach it, right? You can enroll into that. That would be a great upsell.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah. And then at the end, then be like, cool. So what did you like about it? How do you feel? Is this something you'd like to see? And then they're like, oh, well, maybe I'd like to see some results first. And it's great. What results are you looking for in order to know? And they'd be like, cool. Well, what if you could actually start doing this consistently on yourself and get results regardless of just waiting on one thing. Would it be worth it to you to learn this so that you could, if one alignment doesn't work, you could do another area and another area and start to get multiple alignments going so that you can create what you want and not just wait around for results? Is that something you'd like to do? And be like, yeah, cool. So I'm doing a class tomorrow. It's $350 or $400, whatever you're going to charge, right? And be like, hey, we'd love to get you signed in. Since you did the session, I'm going to give you a one-time discount since you're here. And like that, and give them a one-time discount. So it's like, hey, if you'd like to get signed up today, then it'll be this price. If you're still wanting to think about it, totally cool. It's this price. So like normally it's $350. Since you did the session, it's only $200. And we just need to take care of that payment here. And if you guys need to think about it, then great. Tomorrow it's $350. Today $200. I'm doing that as a fast action bonus, and you can totally get signed up if it resonates. If not, take your time on it. But this is just a fast one action time, boom, done type of thing. Cool.
Sounds like a good plan. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Hey, everybody, thanks so much for joining me today. And by the way, for those of you who don't know, we have the Connect event coming up next month. So if you haven't registered or you're looking for tickets and you don't have a ticket, let us know. October 16th, 17th, 18th, and 19th is the Connect event. This is an event that's really powerful, helps you get clear on your message, gets clear as an entrepreneur to share your message and enroll clients consistently. We work through, we do a lot of role play, we do hands-on, we build out your program, you sell your program at the event. Everybody in the room makes money. So it's a really powerful event. We've literally had somebody fix to go on food stamps, leave the event, 3 weeks later, make $40,000 within that month going through the event. So if you're like, man, I just need a boost, I need a shift, I need a big inspiration, I need to get some skills to grow a business, to make money, then you want to make this. We only do this twice a year. We're giving a discount, 50% off for normally it's $1,000. It's a $500. We have about 5 spots left for that. So if you would like to come, email support@enrollmentmasters.com and we'll get you hooked up. If you're already part of the Impact Income program, you have 2 tickets. In our mastermind program, you have several tickets as well. And anybody who is certified in the Connect or the CAT event, or the CAT, if you're certified, you also have tickets as well. So cool. All right, thanks so much, and we'll see you guys next time.